What's up guys, Pay3 for Honeyyo. Today I got a video to share my experience of the Bushiroad Grand Festival that happened last weekend in Long Beach, California. So I'll give you guys a rundown of my matchups and my experience of the event overall. The event itself had 91 players that entered with 6 rounds of Swiss before cut to top 8. Pretty low amount of players that attended. This was due to Anime Expo being held on the same weekend as the event. Which was pretty convenient for me since I'm not from California. And pretty much me and a couple other friends decided to fly out there to go see the Anisong World Matsuri Japan Kawaii live concert that was being held on the Friday before the event. The concert had Walker, Wake Up Girls, Cinderella Girls, and Aqua performing. So we figured that we would never get to see a concert like that again in our life. So we decided to fly out there to go see it and to attend the Bushiroad event as well. I ended up going into this tournament with Love Live Sunshine, the same build that I profiled on my channel before, and the same build that I took to New Jersey as well that I ended up placing 9th at. So if you guys want to see what I was running, you can go check that out. For my matchups, round 1 I played against Two Love Rue, and this was the Ren and Run build. And it was actually being played by my friend Nick, who also flew out there from the East Coast to go see the concert. So it's pretty unfortunate that both of us flew like 3,300 plus miles away from home, and we ended up getting paired against each other in round 1. But that's just what happens sometimes in tournaments. I ended up getting the win out of our game. Pretty much what ended up happening was, I believe he was at 3-2, and I had the level 3 Yo Climax combo out. I burned him for 1, which ended up sticking, and I think Yo was either directing for 4 or she triggered an extra soul to go in for 4. But either way, she was going in for 4 damage, and since he was at 3-3, Yo's 4 damage from her attack ended up sticking. So that's how I closed out that game. As for my round 2 matchup, I played against Bang Dream, and this was the Glitter Green deck. And this is actually my first time playing against Bang Dream in general, so it was a pretty new experience for me, matchup-wise. And our game was pretty close as well. He had pretty good compression throughout the entire course of the game, but I think what ended up hurting him was on his last turn at level 3, I remember he triggered at least 2, maybe even 3 climaxes before he passed his turn back to me. So pretty much when I got my turn back, I just like swung normally with my level 3s, and all their damage from their attacks ended up sticking. So that's how I closed out that game. For my round 3 matchup, I played against SAO, and this was the Yuki and Sinon build. And this game I was actually pretty far behind on damage at one point. I believe he had me at like 2-4 or 2-5, and I only had him at like 1-2 or 1-3 for damage. And what ended up helping me come back into this game was he brainstormed with his Sleeping Knights Brainstormer, and he hit a climax off of it. I had my Global 500 Dia out, so I did decide to draw a card and discard. And this pretty much ended up letting me get 1 card closer towards canceling his first attack. Since his first attack, he swung for 3, and I ended up canceling on 3. And then that led me towards canceling his next 2 attacks, since I had 2 more climaxes on top of my deck after that. So pretty much I was able to get an extra turn at level 2, and I was able to push him back towards level 2 at the same amount of damage that I was at. So pretty much the game was pretty much evened out at this point, and what ended up happening at level 3 was, I believe he was at 3-2 with 3 cards left in his deck and 1 climax left in it. I had the level 3 Yo Climax combo out. Yo was directing as well, but I did the burn one first. The burn one took the last climax off the top of his deck, so Yo was going in for 4. He checks the 2 characters in his deck for damage. He refreshes, checks the last 2 cards for damage off of Yo's attack. He didn't cancel the attack, so that puts him at 3-6, and he had to take a refresh point afterwards, so the refresh damage put him at 3-7. So that was pretty sacky way for me to win, not gonna lie, especially since he was pretty far ahead in damage at one point in the game. So that's how I ended up closing out that game. As for my round 4 matchup, I played against Kantai Collection, and this was the green-blue splash yellow build, so he had Haguro Kai Ni, level 2 climax combo, along with like Verdi and Akagi Kai for green, and then Musashi and Compass for the yellow splash. And this player actually ended up winning the whole event. His name was David, so definitely congrats to him. It was really nice meeting you and playing against you in Swiss and top 8. But I ended up beating him in our Swiss matchup. Our game was pretty even as well. We both kept up in damage against each other pretty well. But like my round 2 matchup, he ended up triggering at least 2 to 3 climaxes on his last turn at level 3. So when turn came back to me, I believe I just like swung normally with my level 3s, and the damage from their attacks ended up sticking. So that's how I closed out that game. As for my round 5 matchup, I played against Senpai Love Live, so the original Love Live series. And this is actually my first and only loss during the Swiss rounds. And his build too actually was the meta green, blue, red Love Live. So he had the level 3 We Are Single Light Nico, the level 1 We Are Single Light Maki, and then the level 2 Angelic Angel Kotori climax combos in his deck. And something that he played too that was a little different from most meta Love Live green, blue, red decks that I've seen was he had the Summer Festival date Hanayo as his other level 3 climax combo. So that was pretty interesting and nice to see, since we all know Hanayo is my best girl for the original Love Live series. But yeah, pretty much what happened in this game was I ended up getting really bad climax floods. Pretty much when I clocked myself to level 1, I was at 0-6, so I had to clock myself to level 1. I leveled with red since I had red Chicas and red climaxes in my hand. And when I ended up clocking myself towards level 1, I believe I drew 2 climaxes off of it. And since I had a level with red, I couldn't play any of my Azusa Rubies down to get the climaxes out of my hand and to mill through my deck. So he pretty much capitalized on that by playing a climax and pushing for a lot of damage. I believe my first refresh was only 5 climaxes, so it wasn't too well. And then my second refresh, I believe I went in with 8 climaxes, so I was able to stabilize myself out a little bit. But my refresh was still pretty thick for 8 climaxes, since I had to burn a lot of stock with my Ruby Brainstorm to mill through my deck. And he ended up winning at level 3, but I believe I still had him at level... I had him at like 3-4 before the game ended, so it wasn't like a complete blowout. So that's how that game went. As for my round 6 matchup, I played against Cinderella Girls, and this was the Asterix build, along with like a little bit of Splash Yellow, since he did play a level 3 Kiridi outside of the Midias for Yellow. And this was a really close game as well. We both had each other at 3-6 before the game closed out. But pretty much what ended up happening at level 3, his first turn at level 3, he played Anastasia and a Kiridi, and he had enough stock to give Anastasia a cancel burn off of the Kiridi as well. So pretty much he had a Kiridi with cancel burn, Anastasia with cancel burn, and Anastasia was pretty much going to get her reverse off since I couldn't stop it. But after he did that field, surprisingly, I was only at 3-3 still. So when turn passed back to me, I noticed that he was out 7 climaxes, so I played my level 3 Yo, which I ended up salvaging my level 3 Ruby off of her. I played the level 3 Ruby, and then I think I just played like an Azusa Ruby, since that was pretty much the only character from my hand I could play at the time. And I used Ruby's effect to give her and another character 1 soul, so I ended up giving it to the level 1 Azusa Ruby. I believe he was at 3-0 at this point before I attacked, so I went in for 2 and 2, which ended up sticking, and then I attacked with my level 3 Ruby last. He ended up canceling Ruby's attack with the last climax in his deck, so I did end up burning him for 1 with the level 3 Ruby's cancel burn for the turn that she comes into play. So I believe he was at 3-5 at that point, and when turn passed back to him, he was getting close towards his refresh point. So he played his level 3 Miku. He grabbed her O over off of her. He played the O over. I believe he attacked with his other 2 characters first, and I ended up canceling his attacks off of those 2 characters. Then he refreshed himself, so he put himself to 3-6 afterwards. When he attacked with the level 3 Miku, he ended up whiffing on her burn since he milled 2 blue characters off her climax combo. So he still had me at 3-3 at this point, and when the level 3 Miku attacked, I ate the 3 damage off her attack, which put me at 3-6. So he wasn't able to close out the game. So when turn passed back to me, I believe he had a level 1 character on stage, so I just played a level 3 Yo, and I sided against it since I didn't want to trigger any of his Hanako counters since he was running them in his deck. So yeah, that's how I ended up closing out that game. But shoutouts to that player as well. His name was Justin. It was really cool meeting you. It was really fun playing against you as well. And it was definitely down to the wire for the game that we had. And pretty much I finished the Swiss rounds after that. I ended up going X1 with a 3rd ranking overall in Swiss. So I finished 3rd place in Swiss and made it into the top 8 cut. As for my top 8 matchups, I actually lost my first round of top 8, and it was against Kantai Collection, the same player that I played against in round 4, David. Our game was pretty good as well. Both of us had some pretty bad climax floods during like the mid-course of the game, but I think what ended up helping him stabilizing himself out better than I did was he played an Akatsuki, and he was able to grab an Akatsuki off of that Akatsuki. So he played his second Akatsuki, and he was able to grab another Akatsuki off of that Akatsuki. So he played the 3rd Akatsuki as well. So pretty much he was able to mill through 12 cards of his deck while getting the climaxes out of his hand as well. So that definitely helped him a lot towards getting a better refresh. And as for me, I think I was able to play like 1 Azusa Ruby, so I wasn't able to mill through that many cards out of my deck like he was. But it was still a pretty close game. He put a lot of pressure on me as well at level 3. I believe he played 2 Musashis and an Akaki Kai with their climax combo. So pretty much I had to cancel 2 Musashis, 2 Musashi burns, and then survive an Akaki Kai attack with a clock kick, which didn't end up happening at all. I believe I died like on the 2nd Musashi attack. So yeah, that's how that game played out. And that was pretty much the end of my tournament run. Ended up getting top 8 and then losing my first round in top 8, which I wasn't too bummed about since I was mostly shooting for top 8 since this was the last chance to get the Shioko playmat since the fall circuit starts next season. So yeah, anything further for top 8 than me was just me going further than what I initially planned. As for the event itself, it was ran pretty well by Bushiroad. The downtime in between rounds was a lot better this time. Before in New Jersey, they had like 30 plus minutes in between the rounds for the next pairings. They definitely did a better job for that during this event. And since this was a grand festival as well, there was other side events and things going on outside the tournament, such as seeing the Milky Home Seiyus, and there was also a Poppin' Party live concert as well. Unfortunately, pretty much if you were in the tournament, it was really hard to do things outside of the tournament since there was really long lines for the Milky Home Seiyus, and the concert for Poppin' Party was going on while the tournament was still going on, which was actually during my round 6 matchup. So while I was playing against Justin, there was just Poppin' Party just blasting in the background, which was pretty cool. But I was still able to see the Milky Home Seiyus in real life, which I was really happy about since I love Milky Homes a lot, and all the Seiyus were just really cute and really pretty in real life. So yeah, I was really glad that I was able to see them. Same for the Poppin' Party Seiyus. They were all really pretty, and they did a really great performance for their concert. It was a lot of energy. Definitely tell that they were really into it and that they really enjoyed themselves, and so did the crowd as well. But yeah, that was pretty much my experience for the Bushiroad Grand Festival, guys. Outside of the event, my California trip was really good as well. Shoutouts to my friend Ben, who organized the whole trip between flights and hoteling and, you know, all the Uber rides and whatnot. We definitely couldn't have done it without you. Shoutouts to his girlfriend Kat as well, that tagged along with us for our little California vacation. And shoutouts to the 2 new friends that I met there, Jess and Steve. It was really fun meeting you guys and hanging out with you guys for the first time, and definitely had a lot of fun sharing a hotel room with you guys as well. Hopefully someday we can do something like this again, and we can all see each other and have fun like we did in California. But yeah, that was pretty much my video on my experience for the event itself, guys. Thanks for watching,